Okay, so today's goal is probably going to be just to kind of clean all this out. If I can get this whole compartment clean. I spent probably 4 hours this morning going through all the rest of the parts, getting what I need. And I think, yeah, today's goal is going to be just clean out this whole compartment, get ready to work in here. I need to get the amp in there. I need to get that pump figured out where I'm going to put that. I also need to get a new steering cylinder on this engine, but I know there's one on that engine right there that I'm going to be borrowing, and that's what's going to go on here because it's newer and that one's leaking and I don't want to rebuild it. But then depending on what the time is and what it looks like in here, if I got enough time today, I will probably even start to, like, I need to drill this out, get this thing cut off of there. Same thing for that one, get that cut off there. Take this off, and I might end up doing a little bit of wet sanding up here. Maybe get the steering wheel off of here so that way I can get this wet sanded. I want to get this all wet sanded and then compounded before I mount my electronics, just that way it's easier. You know, it's gonna, if I put all the electronics in here, it's gonna be a lot more difficult to wet sand all this stuff and get it to polished up. Same thing for the speakers are. I could pull all the speakers out, wet sand around where they're gonna go, and with that, that'll give me the ability to have that done, make it easier when I just mount my stuff on there with that done. I was able to polish up my magnet, so you'll see that magnet, I get that polished up. But yeah, let me go ahead and get some gloves and a mask and whatnot, and I'll try and clean all this out. I don't know if I can put the bleach on this, if it'll mess up that canvas or not, but we'll find out in just a minute if I can get this all clean, and then we'll see how much we get done today. Hey, quick reminder for those of you that missed it, while we restore this Boston Whaler 220 Dauntless, you can get 25% off any BAB shirt or buff while supplies last at bornagainboatingshop.com. Okay, that's looking a lot better in here. I mean, it's not perfect, but this stuff is old and stained, and I don't know if there's really a better way. I'm gonna take a look and see if there's a better way, but at least now I got this clean enough where I can come in here and kind of work and set stuff up. I could do a little bit more work over here and over there, getting that stuff off. But main thing is now I'm starting to get a lot of this at the bottom cleaned off. I just shoved the power steering pump under there for the time being. But I need to pull this out here. I need to figure out if this got clamps on there or what's up on them. That is some sort of a clamp. I guess I need to squeeze that in and I can pull this toilet out of here. So let me do that. I'll get that out of the way, and that'll help me get in here and clean a lot better. But this is starting to look a lot better now. Oh yeah, that is 100% better than it was. Still a lot of stains on there, so this is in the upholstery. The bleach didn't even work on that, so might have to get out some mold, mildew or something. I don't know, try something else on there to try and brighten this up a little bit. But other than that, at least this is nice and clean enough we can get in here, kind of work and get things straightened up in here, get all this stuff straightened up. I need to pull this out so I can get down to the rigging tube so I can pull the wire for the washdown pump, and I need to pull wire for the stereo amplifier. I need the ground and the power, so I need to bring those two up. Most likely, if you look, I didn't clean all this back here, but you see that water line back there? This thing was got water in here, so if this can get water in here, I do not want that steering pump down there. So we're probably gonna have to figure out a way to maybe get it mounted on this back wall, I guess is probably what it's gonna be. Maybe make something to sit in that corner, like a platform right there that it could sit on, and then mount the amp to this, or I could even maybe even mount that to this plate here, or this backing plate. You know, that might be the ticket. I'm not 100% sure, but at least now we can get in here and work and plan all that out. As of right now, now that that's done, I think all I'm going to do is probably pull these speakers out, get rid of those. I'm going to pull that steering cylinder off, and I'll get the other steering cylinder off of that. It does look like it's going to rain. It's been threatening for a while, but that'll at least get us to that section. I don't know if I'll get any wet sanding done here. Been kind of going slow on this, but at least this is cleaned out and I can work in here. So that means tomorrow I can come in and really bang out on it. So let me go ahead and wipe that stuff out, pull that back panel, get my steering cylinder off, get these speakers off, and that'll get us pretty much it for the day probably. Well, these are through bolted, so that means that I have to take that thing off in order to get those out, so they can just stay there for right now. I want to go ahead and, so yeah, now I'm gonna pull this off here. I do need to change these because when we put the jack plate on there, I'm gonna need 2 footers to make it over there. I can kind of like cross them to get them up there, but that's gonna look clean. It's gonna be back a little bit, but I'm gonna take this off and put the new one on there just to get it taken care of today. So this is a telltale sign of a leak. If you look in here and you can see the fluid on the back there, all that fluid back in there, that's how you know the cylinder's leaking. So that's that. Now let me go ahead and run over here and take that off that other one. Well, looks like this steering cylinder is no better than that one. This one's already been rebuilt and painted. You can see how it got hot and the paint's flaking off there. So this one's probably not repairable either. Usually what happens is inside here, this thing gets pitted or gets water in there, and then once it does that, it pits out and then it leaks. So there's seals over here in this that pipe runs in, and if those seals go bad or there's pitting on that pipe, there's no sealing that. So that one's leaking, that one's leaking. So we're gonna have to find another steering cylinder or take both these apart and see if we can rebuild them. I'm not gonna take this one apart yet because I wanna leave this hooked up to the hoses. That way I don't have to do anything with my steering system just yet. So I'm just gonna put it back on here, hand tighten my bolts in there, and we're gonna leave that as is for now. I went ahead and pulled this thing out and got it all cleaned up too, sprayed down. It's obviously not perfect, but way better than it was, and it'll look decent in there. It's nice, got those pockets and stuff, so I'll clip that back in there when we're done, but that's all clean. And before I leave today, I want to go ahead and hit it with this. This is some Zep mold stain and mildew stain remover and just a pump, HDX multi-use pump sprayer. So I'm just gonna put this in the pump sprayer and then spray down the boat. That way I can get a lot of that stuff off there, maybe the chalkiness, the oxidization. This should take a lot of that off and make it a little bit easier to get up on the boat without having all this white stuff all over you. I'll be here tomorrow. Alright, well, I mean, it looks a lot better, but that's just from the water. I don't know how much of the oxidization I actually took off. Maybe not even really any of it. Well, it was worth a shot. I was thinking that would take out quite a bit of stuff, but obviously it didn't, especially nothing back here. I mean, I didn't scrub anything. I was just trying to get stuff off of it. But yeah, that really, I don't know if that really did a whole lot or if it didn't do much at all, but at least oh well, that's what I did. I might even actually go ahead and hit the bottom of the hull with the same stuff just to hit it along the sides. But other than that, I'm gonna hit the sides of it and then we'll call it a day. But I don't know. Oh yeah, that looks way better. So now I just need to go ahead and finish what I'm doing as far as like all this dash and stuff. Need to come up here and kind of clean all this rust off there, use some goof off or some on off, clean all that off, and then wet sand these so I can put all these components in. And then really this whole boat, I got to pressure wash everything to get all that oxidization. All this has to be pressure washed off, so I got to get up here with a pressure washer, knock all this stuff off, then we can wet sand it and then we can compound it. But that's all for a whole nother day. Tomorrow I think my goal is going to be to get my steering cylinder situation figured out, and then probably get this dash cleaned up, wet sanded, and get some of my components maybe put into place.